Hello, hello world, hello internet. Happy Friday. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be. Thank you for joining us here at Coded Live. Hope it's been a good start to your day and you're looking forward to the rest of Friday and the weekend coming up. So, welcome back to Coded Live. As you know, we do a lot of things on this channel, but today's Friday, so we get to stretch our legs a little bit and hang out with the folks we love. And we are all living through a pandemic. We can't hang out in person, so this is the best we got. And I'm your host, Sam Basu, and I'm delighted today to have our very good friend and internet superstar, Georgia Nelson, with me. How are you, Georgia?
I'm good. I'm not a superstar, but I'm good. I got coffee.
Oh, you are. Yeah. It's early morning, so it's 10 in the morning for me. It's 9, and I know you were streaming late last night. And nobody really knows you as Georgia, right? You're Fiercekittenz. That's your thing.
Yeah, but it's like in these professional settings, I don't mind my name being out there. I mean, it's like the people who are looking to harass me as a gaming and sewing streamer aren't looking at coding streams because their intelligence are too low. So, yeah, we're good.
Yeah. Well, while we're talking, Mr. C# Fritz, who we don't know who he is, looks like he's subscribed. So thank you, sir. We appreciate you. We love you. All right. Well, here we are. This is a chat show, and our goal is to not share screens. This is not a coding stream. We just want to know the people that we love a little bit better, a little bit more. So, do you want to start out introducing yourself? Like, who are you?
Such a hard and heavy question for 9 in the morning.
Who are you really?
So, my name is Georgia. I am a programmer by day. I've been programming for about 20 years professionally, 18 of that in the game industry. I know. Every time I say it, people are like, I'm like, okay, ladies, the secret is bathing in virgin's blood and lots of makeup. But I specialize in client server systems. At night, I am a Twitch streamer. I'm also a mom. I've got two little girls. Not so little anymore, though, I guess, because one of them is all angsty teenager. And
how old are your girls?
9 and 12 and a half. And the half is super important.
I'm sure they keep you busy.
Yeah, just a little.
4 cats, huh? Yeah.
Yes, that one of them's a COVID cat. I just have to put that out there. So.
All right. Well, we love what you do. Where do you live?
I live in Austin, Texas.
Oh boy. So I remember, unless you have been living under a rock, Texas went through some difficult times in the last couple of weeks with the storm. Georgia, I'm in northwest Pennsylvania, right up by the lakes, and things are very different in the way roads and houses are built. You are just not used to that kind of weather, so it is rough.
Texas
well, you
is
are.
not.
Okay.
Yeah, I moved here from Northern Virginia. So we were used to snow, like as a family, like we still have snow shovels and salt and all that stuff because you just never know. The house, however, was not prepared for ice and snow.
I felt so bad. Like you posted a picture of like water leaking out of the outside of the house. Like, oh.
Yeah, we had a pipe burst. Thankfully, it was in like really easy for them to fix. They fixed it in under an hour, and we got lucky. But they did price gouge us. But we still haven't had a claims adjuster to come in from the insurance company to address everything else. So yeah, there was a leak in the roof, and it was pretty bad.
Yeah, we saw the pictures and we felt so bad that all of you are going through this. So hopefully, like you and the house, like you're all good now.
We're safe. Yeah, I'm worried about the floor rotting from like mold or something, but because it went straight through from the roof to the second floor down to the first floor, and all of the hardwood it was cheap stuff they put in, but all the hardwood in front of the fireplace is just like bubbled up a bit and looks wavy. Yeah, and the only way to fix the hardwood is to actually replace those panels, which you can't really do unless you have extra panels. Guess what
Yeah.
we don't have. So
Yeah. We moved into a newer construction, and they thankfully left us with quite a few extras for now. So fingers crossed, we'll see. All right. Well, but other than the storm that hit, do you like being in Austin? Love it
not
or hate
really.
it? No.
No, no. Yeah, Texas is definitely weird. Like I live in a bubble, which is great, and I love my little bubble. But if I have to leave the bubble, I don't like it. But
Yeah.
the cost of living's a lot lower. Like, there's not enough money to get me to move to California. I've had a lot of people try. There's just not enough. So, but yeah, I mean, Austin is Austin. It's different than the rest of Texas. So
It really is.
like,
Really is.
yeah.
And our chat room is getting started. Curious Drive. Hello, hello. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you, my friend. We're talking to Georgia here, who is Fiercekittenz. That's who you are with your internet fame. So we know what you do. We see what you do. But where did you get started? You said like you've been in gaming for like 20 years now. How did you start your career?
Oh my gosh. So weird. So getting into computer science was odd as a young woman. I mean, imagine this is 20 years ago. I don't know how the colleges are now, but like I was ostracized and mocked for being in computer science classes. I just wanted to do it for fun because I was always told a woman can either be a secretary or a teacher. And I was going to be a French teacher. And then I learned I hated other people's children. And I got out of that real fast. No, I mean, I found out the hard way. You know, they put me in student teaching and I was like, I'm going to body slam this kid. So I need to get taken out of this whole thing. They put me in middle school for the student teaching. That was a poor choice. But, you know, I was making my own little games for fun. I was writing them in Java, Visual Basic. You know, I knew a little C++, but not enough to really dive in on like the graphics side of things. It just was a more accessible, you know, if you had Java or Visual Basic back then. I came back from when I lived in France and just decided, you know, I'm gonna go straight into computer science. I don't want to teach. I'll finish out the French degree because back then you didn't have to have a degree in computer science. I got a job straight out of college.
Nice.
Yeah, but I also did a lot of web design and consulting while I was in college. I've never had a hobby that I didn't monetize. So
good for you.
Yeah. Well,
what took you to France?
To finish the degree.
Okay.
I took 21 hours of classes while living in France. So I don't recommend that for anyone. But I did wrap up the degree. So I lived there for half a year.
Good to know. And in the chat room, Copper Beardy, good to see you. Oh, and look who's here. Look who's lurking. Mr. C# Fritz. Fritz, I don't know how he's awake this early.
Right.
Because Fritz and our good friend Javier, they were hosting and producing .NET Conf yesterday, which was a long, long stream.
It was.
And they took turns and they did an amazing job. So thank you, Mr. Fritz. Yeah. Yeah. Lurk forever. So a lot of times, like we ask, like, how do you describe what you do to your kids? But like for you, I'm guessing like since you are kind of into gaming, it's kind of an easier thing to describe to your kids, like what you do, right, for a living.
Yeah, I mean, I don't tell them I make games. Like that boils it down a bit too much because I don't actually do anything in gameplay or anything. I write the back end tools that help build the game. So I tell them I'm kind of the person that gives you the tools so that you can go, so people, you know, the designers and the artists can go make great content for a game. And they're heavy players of Roblox and Minecraft right now. So from that perspective, it's kind of easy to explain it. Like, they get it. So, and they see the streaming, they see all of that. I don't really stream the code as much anymore, due to like harassment and stuff. But, you know, like the sewing and the gaming, that's a different thing. The total teenager was like, hey, I want to be a YouTuber. And you can hear her mock YouTubing in there. And she sounds just like me, and it's so scary.
Well, good for you. And you talked about streaming, so let's talk about more of that. And good morning from Alabama, and I know Curious Travis from Philly. So when did you start streaming? What made you start?
5 years ago, and it was when Creative started. So there was a big Bob Ross campaign at Twitch, and they officially made a creative category, whereas before, anybody who did sewing or art, they had to hide kind of in the game category. It was like a sneaky thing. It wasn't official. Because you can actually get penalized for streaming in the incorrect category. So I was like, my husband links to me at work. He's like, look at this, they've got people sewing. And I go in and I'm like, there's a dude sewing and smoking. I'm like, I'm in. So I went into that channel, and I never really watched Twitch before. So I etiquette out the window, right? This dude had 10 people watching him smoke a cigarette and sew, and he had long hair. He looked like a Viking, and I didn't realize when I typed, oh hey, cool, a dude sewing, which I'm like, I'm a lot better about that stuff now. He responded, and I was like, oh my god, and then from then I was hooked, and now we're like, we're super close friends, and that led me to more people, and so on and so forth. And all of those people initially were like, you should try, you should stream. So I did. And my first stream, I only had my MacBook with the built-in camera. And so if I was sewing, and when I had to get up to iron, it was behind the camera, and I was scared I was going to get banned because you can't leave a stream unattended. So I put my foot on the table and wiggled it while ironing on the other side of the laptop. It was so dumb. Yeah. Just the little things. And now I have this empire.
You do have an empire. And I want to talk about that empire. And Fritz is talking about, we don't know who we're talking about.
Talk Custom was the name of the artist.
And I don't get this comment. FK, is that a gaming thing? What's FK? Maybe I'm not cool enough.
Oh, is that a gaming Fiercekittenz.
Oh, okay, that's your thing. Okay,
I'm either called Fierce, FK, or Kittens, but TTS doesn't like FK for very specific reasons. But yeah.
Got you. Yeah. Well, to your point, like, this takes a lot of setup. It takes a lot of prep and makeup, right? So how many cameras do you have? What is your standard setup when you're coding versus when you are...
when I'm coding? When I'm like, digital creative, I just use this camera and my desktop share.
Yeah, and that's not too bad.
No, that's not. And that's a Sony A6000 with a Sigma 16 millimeter lens f1.4.
Yes.
You got to give that man grunt every time I go through that. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and technically my phone, so 5.
So
I have an iPhone.
Yeah, me too. So when you are away from your desk, like, how are you reading the chat room? Like, do you just have a screen that moves with you?
Right. So I have a tower of, you might see me looking up here like this every now and again where I keep chat. It's a habit. And it's horrible. When I'm recording YouTube videos, you can see me doing this stuff. I'm shocked I don't do that in my sleep. So I have chat up there that I've blown up to like size 0.32. And then I also have an iPad on the table back there. So if I'm using the table back there, yeah.
So even if you're back there, like, you can still read the chat room. Like, it's blown up enough so you can read from a distance.
Yep.
Interesting. Yeah, I think like all of us who are streamers of normally coding stuff, it's not so difficult. You still need some equipment, but what you do is kind of hardcore. You have a new toy, and I saw you were doing some stuff last night. What do you print? Like, you can print pretty much on any fabric right nowadays, right?
Yeah, and I think actually a fabric printer is kind of a funny way of looking at it. A fabric tattoo machine is another one. It's just an embroidery machine, like the hat that you're wearing. I can embroider those now.
I see all of your hats, yeah.
Yeah. Javier actually wore one of mine yesterday, and I was at work because we actually were given the day yesterday to focus on the Focus on Windows conference,
Nice.
which was so nice, because it's very hard, at least in gaming, to convince leadership that we need to attend conferences. Like my client server knowledge is limited to distributed systems. I can't even begin to tell you how games like Rust or Minecraft run in like single applications for their dedicated servers. I got nothing there. So it was really nice. And then I had a little freak out when I saw he was wearing my hat. I was like, I made that.
Yeah, no, Fritz wears some of your hats too. And
yes, he does.
There you go. And he's clipping as we speak. Thank you.
Nice. Good.
Yeah, it was a great show yesterday. Really, just like so much of content from so many different perspectives. And I had one of those like classic Azure demo failures. But you prep, and sometimes you can't quite control the cloud. But what do you do?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about your coding stuff that you do. You're into Blazor, and
yes,
you're the maker of GIFBot. And feel free to drop in any links that you might want. So, how did you get started with Blazor? Tell us about GIFBot.
Fritz threatened me pretty heavily.
That's a good way.
Actually, one of the conundrums that I had with GIFBot, and I've done a couple of talks on trying to convert it from WPF as a desktop app to a web app, but the biggest problem was it was becoming a beast to maintain and to keep up with the API that Twitch was spitting out, because their API is very web centric. So. I had talked to Fritz about that on and off, and I think it was around March or April last year. I was like, really, if I could make it a website, I would, but I can't host it because the people who have 500 to gigabyte sized video files that they play, that's not something I'm going to pay to stream from a website. Right. GIFBot.io is where I host the application right now, where you can download it, and it's slammed. It's horrible. So Fritz told me about Blazor and being able to run locally in a container, and so that's what we went with. I started playing around with it just to make sure it had all the features that I needed, that there were things I wouldn't be losing from it. The only thing I lost from it was TTS, really. And thanks to Azure, I actually just pipe into Azure services to do the text to speech for us now. So I have all of that. I don't have to pay for it, but I have it. Yeah, that was basically, it was Fritz's fault. The Lilu Dallas of that is thanks, Fritz.
Well, he led you down a good path, at least. And I don't know if folks saw yesterday, things are getting very interesting, particularly with like .NET MAUI. I think Dan Roth and some of the folks talked about it yesterday. I was doing some demos, and Blazor is now actually very welcome on desktop as well. And then this story is going to keep getting more and more flushed out and better, because it's actually using the platform-specific web views, like on Mac OS versus WebView 2 on Windows. So it's a good story. Why not have web stuff on the desktop? And we have done this like for some time now with things like Electron. I mean, your Teams, your VS Code, all of those are Electron apps, but it takes a bit of a like memory footprint hit, but these things can be much more streamlined with what's going on. So it's exciting times. So I know you're into Blazor. What other like technology gets you excited nowadays?
Well, I mean, I love, C Sharp just in general. C Sharp desktop. That's mostly what we do. I really want to get back into databases. I know that sounds weird. That's more of like,
It does sound
the
good.
librarian of tech these days. But my ability to do a query beyond a simple select is pretty limited. so I really like, and that's palpable with the website that I built at work to display analytics. So there's some complex queries we have to make because the analytics are stored in a relational database and they're very slow.
Right. No, there's something to be said about that. So our good friend Freestyle Coder is in the chat room. Data, yeah. So so this is where, like when folks say like, I am a full stack engineer, I was like, we all hesitate a little bit, right? Because there's so much to look into and learn in each stack. Like the moment you go down the data part of things, there's so much to learn on optimizing things, on handling concurrency. There's just so much to just the data layer. So yeah, if you want to get back, most developers will, like you said, like most developers will try to shy away from that because it's hard, and we want to let the DBAs or the cloud do that for us. 'Cause you really need to know your stuff, what you're doing.
Cloud is another thing, and learning cloud services in the past year for a distributed system that I had to write for work, which I can't talk about or I'd have to kill you. Is
or kill half the internet here.
Yeah. It's definitely been a trying experience to figure that stuff out. I think I understand it at the base level. I still want to grow the web knowledge. I want to get better at web. I still write a lot of the websites as if I'm a desktop developer. So you have to think about things in the workflows differently. I feel like getting a solid workflow on a web tool is easier than in WPF. I feel like it's just so much easier to toggle if something's visible or not from that. It's more intuitive, I think. So
I think most developers will agree. Like desktop makes things a little more productive, like especially when you're in your quick like dev loop. But the web is ubiquitous. Web is everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Copper Beardy, sorry, I was going to read out Copper Beardy saying full stack means a stack of pancakes. That's perfect.
Ooh, pancakes. I can't have those right now.
Developer to be in. Sorry, what are we saying?
I don't know. Pancakes?
The pancakes blew it all away.
Yeah, there we go. I feel like my client server technology is waning a bit. Like I like to say that I'm an expert in client server. I've worked on 3 AAA MMOs. So
what's an MMO? Sorry.
Oh, massively multiplayer online game like World of Warcraft. I didn't work on WoW, but that's what everybody knows. Yeah, so like I've built those back-end
there are
distributed
differences
systems.
in jargons. Like I didn't know what an MMO is. That's so common to you.
It's a very gaming term.
Yeah.
So like I know how those systems are built. I know how they do the things that they do. There's a game that my community has been playing called Valheim, which is only being built by 5 individuals. So anything I say is not a disparage against them whatsoever. I bow before their majesty, because I wouldn't be able to do what they're doing with the quality that they've produced. But they have a lot of server issues right now, where they cannot, they're offloading responsibility for things like monsters and stuff in an area to players who are in the area for the computing, so they can, and it's like, well, if somebody has a high ping, everybody suffers and gets bad data because the round trip is blotchy. So problem wise, back to like what you were saying, like I would like to learn how could that problem be solved and still have a single executable for those sandbox servers. Like I actually really want to look into that and dive into it. Of course, I can't dive into their stuff because it's not accessible, but still.
Yeah, the gaming industry is like so like different in the way you operate, and like the things we deal with, like client server for just pure enterprise type apps, that is so different in terms of the challenges that you have, the scale. I mean, and now we do things like SignalR and gRPC, but like you're the ones who first see these problems coming on that kind of scale. So like, what are some like common like things you use for keeping things almost real time? What are some technologies people use nowadays?
Well, I mean, I wrote it all, so like, there's no
from
like libraries.
Scratch?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Straight up socket tech.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That is hardcore.
It is hardcore. Me wrote a .NET library. So I have a C# library, but it's all proprietary to my employer, you know. But I had to write those
and that's where the
libraries.
IP is. I mean, that's where, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but it's basically like I stress tested it, and I could probably have like 2,000 to 3,000 concurrent connections all doing the same thing on this one service.
Nice.
So, but that's because I distribute it. So that's something those sandbox servers can't do. So typically you have, when you log into an MMO, you're put into a lobby. And then depending on where you want to go, each little dungeon or world goes up to another process that's handling just that world's area. So and those processes talk to each other via TCP/IP. So it's like, it's not something that you do with those little sandbox servers, because that's expecting somebody to know that they need to spin up all this other stuff. So it's like, instead of starting one program, you have to start up 20. So like, run the character database and run this area and that area and the monsters and physics and all this other stuff. It gets a little crazy, but yeah.
I wrote
flowchart.
Yeah. Well, so I'm going to date myself here. So Silverlight. Okay, I said the S word. The plugins actually first, like that was the first time most developers got exposed to sockets, and I wrote something for an enterprise app, and I was like, I'm never touching WebSockets anymore. This is just this is too complex. This is the moment you step down into the transport layer, you're into complex territory. So good for you.
It's all about like optimizing and understanding. It's a tug and a push and tug kind of thing. You have an open connection between the two applications, and it's a pipe. So, and there's two way. There's a send and a receive. The funny thing is they lock. If you send and receive the same amount of data, they deadlock because they're like, I don't know what to do. So you have to be really careful. But the other thing is like optimizing through queuing. So understand a queue. When you get super deep and crazy, that's when you're like, okay, can I use the spare bits at the end of that integer if I'm never going to go above a certain value, but I needed more than a short? That's when you get a little crazy. So, and I've done ultra packing before, but it was years ago. So like conceptually, I can tell you how to do it. Would I do it today? I don't know. Honestly, I don't know if I would bother, because yeah, there's the overhead of packing it and unpacking it. And it's like, did I really save myself time doing that? And like ultimately, how many bytes of data am I saving me on the transport costs with my ISP? That's different. I do, Fritz. I do. It's terrible.
No, kudos to you. And I don't know why I'm calling you, like, I never called you FK. That, well, you can see sometimes the slant that might take, but yeah, you're FK, of course. No, this is important. Like, and what you're saying, like, these are such core constructs of computer science. Like, how does a queue operate? How do you deal with sockets, and how do you deal with like fallback plans when clients get disconnected? These are such core things that you deal with, and yeah, good for you. Good for you.
I love to teach this stuff. Actually, I love to talk about my MMO experience. But then again, it's like, it's it hasn't necessarily changed a lot, but it's changed enough that I'm a little out of date with it. So like, because the last MMO-ish that I worked on was about 7 years ago. So things have changed a little, WoW does things like layer instancing, which I feel like it's like basically I'm on this quest and my friend is on this other quest and we're not in sync yet. So we're shown different things that they phase things in and out, or seamless stuff instead of bumping into a wall and then getting a loading screen to get to the next area like an EverQuest. It's and that dated myself. I played that. EverQuest is why I got a C in Calc 2. Yeah, I'm a little out of date.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I'm sure there's in a way, like gaming pushes the whole like industry forward. But let me ask you something that I don't know if you're comfortable answering. So feel free to punt. But a lot of the times, the perception that we software developers get from the gaming industry is you are often subject to kind of difficult working conditions, and you're always like meeting deadlines, and you're working long hours. Is that true? Is there anything that you want to say?
It depends on the company. And I worked at an EA studio. Not all EA studios are that bad. But I would say I was about 6 months pregnant sleeping under a desk, because it was easier to fall asleep under the desk than it was to go home, because my commute was an hour away. That was in Northern Virginia, hence the commute comment. Definitely like being fed pizza 7 days a week, working really, really late hours, being told, must be nice you get a vacation, which was also maternity leave.
Wow.
Yeah, I timed that right around launch of Warhammer. So I got
good timing.
Yeah, but most places are not like that. Yes, there's a little bit of crunch toward the end, but it's not like 3-4 in the morning, kolaches at 6 a.m. kind of crap. I honestly have not witnessed it in a number of years. But I also am very careful about who I choose to move to in terms of companies. I investigate and look, because I'm at that point in my life where I've got no time to mess around with drama, and I don't care if it's gaming industry and you should feel so lucky. I actually got up and walked out of an interview once because the guy was just so pushy and rude to me, and started getting borderline sexist. And I was like, this isn't going to work. This isn't going to work. Thank you very much for your time. And I got up and walked out, because you have to respect yourself.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully most employers and most game companies realize like what they're doing to people if they are being subject to such a mad rush. And maybe sometimes like we consumers are to blame, because like it's a race down to the bottom, right? Like when a game launches and we go and just buy it for however dollars, like we don't realize the mad rush and the amount of effort that it took to get there.
Yeah, like Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
But that was made in Poland.
Wow.
Completely different culture, different laws, labor laws, all that stuff. Hi, Ad. So when people hear those horror stories, they don't necessarily apply to every game company. That's why it just depends on the studio.
Right. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, and then good that at your level you can say no, because you have already had all of your experience. You get to pick and choose. But yeah, maybe as folks are coming into the game industry, they can all be more conscious that they have their life. They have to invest in themselves and not just pour in everything they got towards the game and towards making.
Definitely recognize my privilege in having all those years under my belt, and also very specifically specializing in technology that's not directly tied to gaming.
Right.
So if I want to leave gaming, I can. I think. Maybe.
No, you absolutely can. You're most welcome anywhere, I bet. Yeah, so good for you, good for you, and yeah, please keep teaching us on your streams, or if you want to come and join us anytime, teach us about networking, because that's a piece we developers do not understand very well, and you have a unique understanding being in so many MMOs that you've built. Yeah. All right, let's talk a little bit more about you, since we are talking about your setup. I mean, you have a lot of equipment. What is your most favorite tech gadget at this point?
Oh, that's a hard one. I just got the big embroidery machine, so I'm kind of partial to it.
Yeah, we saw
it,
that.
it cost a lot of money.
Mm.
Um,
But you have a merch store, right? So feel free to drop in a link to that. You make some
oh, I
seriously cool
do.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I sell handbags and wallets. I design stuff for print on demand. So I've merch there. Um, actually, probably my tablet. I have a 24-inch tablet right here. I'm kind of tapping on it there. And it's not even a Wacom Cintiq. It's a Huion. It's an off-brand. I got it for like $600, and I love it. That's what actually allows me to be creative. So like I have an art streak. It's really weird to have like this like this combination of technical prowess and art. Like you don't really see like the logic and the art mix.
No, you're
So I've done all of my channel art. I did all of my overlays and my panels and the things that play on my stream and the artwork I did for my shop. Yeah, they're all that's all me. And I guess the tablet helped propel that a bit.
Yeah, and then you're right. I mean, you should monetize it because it's a unique set of skills to be artistic and being so technical. And BB&V, I don't know what you mean. Like, did we name yet? Like your machine or
Yes.
your merch store? What are you
We
asking?
didn't know the machine, so I let the community name the machines.
I see.
This is an industrial machine over here, so they named it Honey Badger because it doesn't give a bleep. It sews through anything, just about. And then they chose Murder Mittens for the 10 needle embroidery machine because it looks like it's like, cat claws, and because the 10 needles.
I bet. And yeah, Ed, I think Texas is out of the freeze, but it caused quite a bit of damage. We talked about it at the start.
What's normal anyway?
Yeah. Well, back to like 70s. No, I mean, in our team, Georgia, so we have two people who are up north, me and TJ. So when folks talk about like snow, and we're like, it's Tuesday for us. Because again, it's just all comes down to how equipped are you in the way your houses are built, what type of equipment they use for the roads and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So freestyle coder, you bring up a good point here. I am as artistically challenged as one can get. Like I can do nothing that is remotely artistic, but in a way, like what he's talking about, like playing a guitar or doing something very constructively artistic, that actually triggers probably parts of the brain that is the same that makes you good at coding. So there's something to that creativity side of it. Yeah. And Johanno Lofoson, 72, Caleta de Velez. I have never been to that part of Spain. I've been to Barcelona, and yeah. Oh, well, we wish we could be in Europe right now, but
yeah, I know, right?
Our kind is not quite welcome everywhere in the world yet, but soon we are getting to light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, when I would travel, it's like you could spot an American from a mile away. Like, look at the loud, obnoxious one. It's entitled. Can't find your Starbucks, can you, sweetheart?
Yeah. Well, you are obviously busy with so many things you're doing at work and for all of your creative interests. What do you do when you are relaxing a little bit? What's your work-life balance like?
I watch Stargate with my husband.
No, don't tell me like when you're relaxing, you are streaming, because like that. I mean, I'm sure in a way, like it is relaxation for you.
We're watching. We Netflix.
There you go.
That's about all we can do. I like drinking wine. I like tapas. What else do I do? I mean, I like to, like the 9-year-old loves to sew. So I
Nice,
like to
nice.
sew with
So
her.
you're getting them into that. Nice.
Yeah, she has products listed over there that she
Mm,
made on stream with me like 2 Saturdays ago.
nice.
And she was working. I gave her a little workstation over there while I was doing stuff on my own, and it was actually really cute. I didn't give her a camera or anything. It just gets
Nice,
awkward, and
nice.
people are like, "Hey, we want to buy your kids pillows," and I'm like, child labor."
Yeah, yeah. It's always nice when you can tie up the things that you're passionate with and kind of get your kids interested. It's
Yeah.
fun. For me, like I grew up with some sports, and I played a lot of cricket, which is a unique sport that the rest of the world plays. And the kid is not into it, and I mean he's going to be so lonely at school. So I hesitate teaching him the thing that I feel passionate about. But what do you do? So you
Uh,
mentioned food a little bit. Like, do you like cooking, or kind of
if the
do
kitchen
by?
is clean, which rarely it is now. So it's funny is my role on that switched.
Hmm,
So my husband wanted to learn how to cook better over the course of the whole COVID thing. Like this started out as, oh, this is only going to be a couple of weeks. I guess I can learn to cook. Almost a year later, he's actually doing really well. He stopped
nice.
doing weird stuff like putting strawberries on top of skinless, boneless chicken breast.
Okay, that is weird.
That is weird. But he went
Yeah.
from that to now, like, pan searing salmon and serving with fresh vegetables and stuff. So, yeah, he's been doing a really good job. I do love to cook, and I'm good at it. But if the kitchen is dirty, which of course it is now because the kids are here, we're here. Oh my gosh, it's ridiculous. We can't even keep up with it.
Yeah, yeah. I'll take pineapples and strawberries on pizza, but let's draw a line there, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you do any VR?
Ah, no,
Any?
actually, I haven't lately because I've been getting headaches. For all the barometric pressure changes in Texas the past 2 weeks,
Yeah,
like it feels like a vice on my head. So yeah, I haven't been able to.
yeah. VR and gaming is like a whole other industry to get into, and
Yeah.
it's difficult to get some of those concepts right. Like, what gives you like if your VR game is not right in terms of physics, just a little bit off, what gives you a headache, and then understanding those laws of physics. And I started doing some game dev in Unity, and it quickly gets very complicated trying to mimic how the human brain perceives motion. So yeah.
Yes. I can't do the games where you have to move, like slide forward. So I enjoy things like Beat Saber, Super Hot, and there's a fishing game, like real VR fishing, and I'm just like, you know what? I stream it from my PC, and he's sitting in my armchair downstairs. I'm completely wireless, and I'm just like throwing the line out, and I'm like just doing this in my living room. It's great.
Nice, nice. All right. Well, let me ask you maybe a trick question. If you had $1 million right now, what would you do?
I'd give it to charity because I don't need it.
That's good. That's very nice of you.
100% give it to charity.
Yeah.
But they have to name something after me. So there's the caveat.
Yeah, with a brand like Kittens, I'm sure it's not too hard. Yeah, yeah, no, that's very nice of you. I mean, we all have stuff to do, I'm sure, with money, but I mean, with these times, a lot of folks are hurting. So if we can, absolutely.
Yeah,
Uh,
I don't need it, and every time I've thought like, oh well, if I win the lottery, will I stop working? No, because what am I
yeah,
going to do all day?
exactly. That's what you love doing.
Yeah, I love my job. That's why I do what I do. I enjoy logging in every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And folks in the chat room, Georgia will have to kill us if she talks any more about her work. Okay, so we're just going to leave it to that.
Yes.
And Fritz, I don't know, Fritz is taking things to a different level. I don't know if I want to code in VR. Maybe.
He's weird.
That is a whole other level.
I
of
can tell
hardcore.
him he's weird. That's okay.
Yeah. Super hot. I have no idea what super hot is.
It's
I am
really
really
weird.
uncool, am I not?
No. You're not uncool. It's kind of like a freeze. It only moves the game simulation if you move. So
Like physically.
it makes you feel like John Wick, honestly. It really does. Like the John Wick game. It's like pew pew. But I can't seem to throw things at people correctly. The physics are way off on that. But it might just be the Oculus version because the hand tracking is new. Anyway.
Yeah. I gave we have the Quest, and I gave our Quest to our 5-year-old, and it's just too early. Like their brains are not kind of set up to understand what's going on. So we'll give it a few more years, and yeah. Okay, now we're getting a little Inception meta type. Like we're coding for VR in VR. I don't even know what that means, but we'll keep it at that. Okay, well,
Yeah.
Georgia, we love what you do. You are thoroughly entertaining in your streams. You are
Thank you.
thoroughly, I mean, it's educational what you do. So thank you. But let me ask you this: like, what are you looking forward to? I mean, of course, like the end of the pandemic. In terms of technology, in terms of your life, what are some things you're looking forward to?
Life. I want to go back to Disney. And I know that's Disney is part of my soul. I am an annual pass holder, otherwise known as a pass hole. And I kept it through the pandemic. I got into doing Run Disney because of a friend, Misty, who also streams on Twitch. She streams sewing and games like me. We do the Run Disney stuff together of 5K one day, 10K the next, and a half on the last day.
Wow.
And yes, wow. And I'm not fast, but I do enjoy it, and I miss in-person runs. And I think the day I can get an in-person run, I'm just gonna take off like an Energizer bunny and just go. I've been really looking forward to that, and I know it's coming again. It might be a year, but yeah.
It's actually we are all hitting close to a year of being in our homes. Like the last conference that I was end of February last year. So
yeah,
this is getting to
I had a
us.
run last year this past weekend. And all the memories came up on Facebook, and I was just like,
yeah, what do you do? Well, as long as we are safe, we are healthy, and we are being productive as best as we can, that's pretty much all we can do, right?
Yeah.
So we love you. You know that, Georgia. So keep doing what you're doing. Keep educating us. Keep entertaining us. And yeah. Folks in the chat room, Freestyle Coder, Ed Charbonneau, C Sharp Freds, Copper Beardy, Curious Drive, every one of you, thank you for hanging out with us. This is our Friday where we just stretch our legs and we just talk to folks who are passionate about what they do. And Georgia, thank you so much. I know you have a super busy day ahead of you, but thanks for taking the time to come out and chat.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, folks. I think we have like a couple more streams left for today. Our good friend Alyssa does a UI Friday that's coming up later in the afternoon, so come and hang out with us. But until then, be happy, stay productive, and we shall see you on the next stream. All right. Bye-bye for now.